Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Brandywine,
where we wander, wonder, and occasionally get lost in Middle-earth. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kelsey. Beyond the Brandywine is a cozy, curious, and occasionally chaotic journey through the stories of Middle-earth.
Join us as we laugh over the odd bits of lore and follow tangents like hobbits chasing second breakfast. We're here to explore the places where the map fades and the questions get weird.
Okay, confession time. This isn't necessarily a weird question, but when you first read Tolkien, did you read all the songs?
I was a song reader, yes. And I always tried to sing them in my head. Yeah, the movies made it much easier to sing them since many of the written songs made it into the films in some way. Mm-hmm. But I'll admit, there were some years of rereading that I definitely skimmed through most of them. What about you? Were you a skimmer?
Oh, I was definitely a skimmer. I didn't exactly skip them in my first couple readings. I would say I strategically glanced. But honestly, part of it's the rate at which I think I read. I would read quickly and glance at it and kind of move on, and I wouldn't spend the time to hear it in my head. And it wasn't until I listened to the BBC 1981 Lord of the Rings radio play where I heard dramatized versions of some of the songs in the books, and I liked those tunes. So then upon a reread, I had those tunes in my head, and I would finally spend the time actually going through all the song lyrics as I reread the books.
Now that I've heard a little bit of that play, I am going to have... You keep introducing me to more things that I'm going to have to listen to. But yeah, hearing them sung with a melody definitely helps for sure. Mm-hmm. My brain's attempts at putting melodies to the songs before the movies was pretty uninspired.
It's probably more inspired than me. I can't sing. I'll be the first to admit that. I had no sense of how to put the words to music in my head because I was I don't sing.
They were much more chanty for me.
Yeah, or I just read it almost like the Poetic Edda or a Norse epic where, it's like a chanting.
Yeah, it was definitely more poetic.
Thing.
Yeah. I was trying, but it wasn't really happening.
Fancy poem, but no lyrics. I guess, spoiler alert, but as you may have guessed, dear listeners, today we're talking about music. In Lord of the Rings and how Tolkien writes about and uses music, which I think sounds very, gentle and non-threatening as a topic, until you realize Middle-earth literally wouldn't exist without music.
Yeah, Middle-earth was literally sung into existence by the gods. And this music creation story happens to be one of my favorite words to say.
I'm going to try to say it, but you'll have to correct me. It's the Ainulindalë?
Yes. And what helped me was trying to say it, I knew Linda Lee. But Ainulindalë.
It's a nice one, Ainulindalë. Yes, my Quenya is not as pronounced as I would like it to be. It's actually the dramatized version of the Silmarillion that I pointed you in the direction of, the Martin Shaw. I love the way he pronounces it, but he probably had a whole host of Tolkien scholars and lyricists and linguists telling him oh no, put the emphasis on
all these people that have to read these books. I'm like, your pronunciation is fantastic.
They have support. Ask me how many times I mispronounced Ainulindalë in my head while rereading the Silmarillion. I think I said Ainulindalë. I had no idea how that was pronounced.
Oh, no, I had to look it up. Actually, it was because of the Martin Shaw version. I'm like, that is such a pretty word. Mm-hmm. But I did have to re-look it up to make sure I pronounced it right.
I think that's a really interesting call-out, too, because Tolkien definitely derived a lot of the elvish language from Welsh, which is very much a naturally musical, lyrical language. So thinking about the influence of even the language itself and what he was writing, I think it makes sense you have all these important beats and poems and music to help drive the narrative, because Quenya and Sindarin naturally lend themselves to more musical natures, at least on the elvish side. Mm-hmm. And you get songs of the hobbits and everybody else, but I think the kind of Welsh influence on elvish in Lord of the Rings also amplifies the need for music and lyrics and how those things naturally flow out of the language.
I think it's a very appropriate word for the singing of Middle-earth into creation.
Cosmic jam session, if you will.
It's just a pretty word.
It's a pretty, I'm doing it no justice by calling it a cosmic jam session, but...
It is a cosmic jam session.
If you think about it, you've got, Eru Ilúvatar the One, and his merry band of disembodied spirits, the Valar, and the Maiar. The Maiar are there too, right? Singing along.
I think you're right.
And they're all just singing and jamming and doing their thing and not realizing that what they're singing is making creation of.
Do they not realize it? I thought they were aware.
I think we talked about in a previous episode where Eru's now let me show you what you have sung.
You're right.
So maybe they know that they're creating, they just don't know
Yeah, they don't know they're creating the world.
I think it says something that Tolkien opens his like magnum opus, the Silmarillion, with song. His version of creation for his entire universe starts with music. So, I think we could distill from that music was probably very important to him.
I mean, it's probably fitting, too, that the elves sing so much. It's like their whole history, I guess. Yeah. Not only were they sung like into creation, but they're much more connected, I guess, to the Valar.
Yeah, they're connected to the music of creation more so than some of the later races and free peoples. To start, too, like, so we're here to talk about music and how Tolkien writes about music. Like, why even have music, right? Like, if you look at a lot of modern fiction, I would say it's fair to say that Tolkien uses songs a lot more than we see.
That's definitely true.
In later fiction, right? And he was very comfortable.
And it's not a musical. Like, no. Lord of the Rings is not a musical.
I mean, I would pay to see a Lord of the Rings musical. Is that an option?
Actually, yeah. Well, who's going to create that? But yeah, it's not meant to be a musical story. He has it throughout the books. Although I will say that all the songs are heavily, like in the Fellowship of the Ring. As I was going through all the books, there are still songs in the second and third, but they're way less frequent.
Do you think his editors had something to do with that? Where he publishes the first book and they're like, that's great, man, but can you tone down the songs just a little bit for the average reader?
But I thought he wrote them all at the same time. Like, they're in 3 volumes, but...
Maybe it has something to do with just the characters have...
Yeah, it's less serious in the first one.
I don't want to say it's less... Like, they're still embarking upon an epic quest to save all of
But yeah, I mean, they're kind of in the middle of battles and
yeah. I know we're fighting the ring race right now, but I need to break out into a song.
Well, it's funny because a lot of the songs that were used in the second and third movies came from the first book, and a lot of them were when the hobbits have not even left the Shire yet. And so, yeah, they're not really very aware yet that there's danger. I think they were in the middle of one song and one of the Black Riders makes noise and they're like, shh, stop our singing for like 2. Yeah. There's a couple moments where they're about to belt out the next verse and they're like,
as if a fire on top of Weathertop wasn't giving them away enough. Let's break out into a little song and dance routine. I'm still stuck on the idea of a Lord of the Rings musical. Like, I'm sure somebody somewhere has been like, let's do the thing.
I love it, but then also, would we notice the music
as much
that is in there?
That's a really good point. Like, Tolkien, he puts it in there. It is intentional to force the reader to like stop and actually, what is he saying? Like, what is this poem? What are we conveying? I think it's very easy to just put in some cute little rhymes, or like in a lot of modern fiction, there's a couple lines of some sort of a prophecy that rhymes, but there's nothing really that deep into it. And Tolkien is writing, at least in the first book, The Fellowship of the Ring, he's writing whole pages of songs in some cases. And I know we've talked about this before, like Tommy Bombs is all songs.
I mean, I feel like 90% of what he says
singing
in the
songs anyway, let's be real.
It's true. It gives more of a history where these characters are singing songs that have been passed down.
Yeah, it gets to oral storytelling traditions that Tolkien would have been very familiar with as an academic. It gets to how different cultures remember and portray things. And even the little rhyme we talked about in The Diseases of Middle-earth with Athelas, right? Like, there's a little rhyme to remember the healing powers of the plant and the king.
That's one of the songs in the third book. It's been passed down.
But you have these moments, or even when they're sort of composed on the spot. I recall the bit where Boromir dies at the end of Fellowship of the Ring. Aragorn and Legolas take the time to actually like sing on the spot this little song of remembrance about the winds coming from the different directions. Although I feel kind of rude, like they didn't let Gimli sing a verse. It's just the two of them.
Yeah.
Gimli's just standing there while they're singing, so I can't imagine. They sing about the winds from like the north and the west and the south.
You're right, yeah.
And Gimli doesn't get a verse, and I was like, ugh, rude. But they're still taking the time to sing this eulogy on the spot, which pacing-wise, I could see a lot of modern fiction just being like, and Boromir died, and they felt very sad about it and kind of move on. But the fact that these characters take the time to sing.
Well, Frodo does the same thing after Gandalf dies.
Yeah.
So Frodo does a whole song himself. And I think it's the extended edition of the movie where Sam does his little verse about the fireworks.
About fireworks.
The finest rockets ever seen. They burst in stars of blue and green.
It's so good.
I'm kind of sad that Frodo doesn't get a lot of. So you know when he's in the Inn of the Prancing Pony,
yeah,
and in the movies he's just trying to stop Pippin from saying.
Oh, he sings the moon song.
It's like basically the cat jumps. Wait,
the cat jumped over the moon.
Yeah, the cat jumps over the moon. It's like this long song. You have to flip the page, and it's like on the next page, and it's on his second singing of the song to people in Bree because they're like, we need to hear it again to like know
do it again.
And so he's like getting more into it the second time, and that's when he actually trips off the table.
I appreciate how much, as you said, the world feels lived in because of the way Tolkien uses music, and whether that's through like folk songs and that Frodo singing stuff, or eulogies by the characters, or even, as we said at the beginning, in the Silmarillion, all of creation is a song. He doesn't say like there's an all-powerful God and he just, sought things into existence. Like he purposely chooses to have his most powerful characters and gods make music and singing be their way of exhibiting power, which I think is a really interesting choice.
Well, yeah, I guess when you said that music is power, to bring up Tommy Bombs real quick.
Yeah. I will always bring up a Tommy Bombs.
For Tommy Bombs, he does exert his power basically through song in a way. Whether or not he needs to, it's not very clear. Maybe he's just loving the singing, but the way he controls Old Man Willow and Barrow-wights and even that badger, it's all
those crazy badger hobbits from The Adventures of Tom Bombadil. Deep cuts.
What do they call them? The bad jobbits?
The bad jobbits. The Hobbadgers.
I like Hobbadgers. That's the better one.
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to go too deep into my armchair analysis here, but I think some Tolkien scholars have hit on this point where music is important and music shows storytelling and history traditions, but Tolkien shows that music is power in collaborative, almost like a passive sense. Like it's not a controlling, domineering. Like every time you see characters trying to exert power, it's almost like creating discord. Like literally in the Ainulindalë with Melkor, aka Morgoth, he tries to do his own thing, and look at all the problems that creates.
Right.
We won't get into whether or not he was set up for failure, because I know we talked about that in a previous episode. Like was he
meant to?
Was he meant to sing the off notes and the discord? Who knows? But I think
topic for another day.
Yeah, but there's a direct line from the one true Eru Ilúvatar to Melkor in the Silmarillion where he says, "No theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me, nor can any alter the music in my despite." So, whether that means everything is preordained or whether that just means the theme has been set by Ilúvatar and people can, to a certain degree, do their own thing within it. Like, clearly there are limitations that Melkor is going too far off the song's beaten path there, but even the fact that discord in harmony is shown as a bad thing gets to that underlying music being such a powerful way to convey things or to show power in a way that's not traditional power. It's like an ultimate soft power almost.
Yeah. So many thoughts went through my head when you were talking.
Let them out. Let them out. I mean, there's a lot of analysis on this. There's, how much does free will exist in Middle-earth, right? If Eru Ilúvatar, the one, is saying, y'all can't sing anything that ultimately doesn't come from me, does that mean everybody's little tunes are preset? Or there's kind of some space in there to sing your own tune to a certain degree?
When I read that line that you just said about Ilúvatar to Melkor, my memory about that passage is that Melkor was kind of mad about it. Like he felt a little kind of put down, but I think it made him angry too, or maybe he felt constrained. Yeah, like he thought he had more control than maybe he actually did.
The illusion of free will, the ultimate.
It's almost leaning towards that. Yeah. Is there even free will? But
if you can't even improvise a song, what does that mean?
Yeah. It's like you thought you were creating discord, but actually it's not a surprise or something.
Or maybe things of a pure nature are the ones that are allowed to make more song. Tommy Bombs is constantly singing his own thing and doing his own thing in the old forest. And maybe evil isn't allowed the power to create, right? So they can't sing in the way because of their corrupted nature or whatever. Like, Melkor TBD, because he wasn't necessarily always bad, but we don't see the orcs necessarily singing so much. We don't see...
I'm trying to think if we ever hear the orcs singing, which I can't think of anything. But I can think of a couple times when I think Frodo... I know he at least sings out to Tom Bombadil when they're in the Barrow-wights. But then he also sings, I think, in Cirith Ungol, or like where with Shelob, he at least sings something about Elbereth Gilthoniel.
Yeah, he has his little singing incantation while holding the light.
Yeah, that's what it
of
is.
Elrond's dad in the tunnel. Right, but like there's a power in the song and in the words. And we were talking just before recording this podcast, and I played for you the little bit with Sam that I love. Like the thing that got me into actually listening and reading through the songs and the books was the performance by Bill Nye in the 1981 Lord of the Rings BBC radio play, where Sam is at the top of Cirith Ungol trying to find his way to the tower where Frodo has been kept after Shelob gets him, after the orcs pick him up, after Sam thinks he's dead.
Yeah, I think Sam gets to the top of the tower, but he doesn't realize there's that trap door to the very upward area. And
where
so
like,
he's
there's
just
no ladder or whatever.
He's kind of hopeless and just starts singing a song from... What, the Shire? Or I forget where it comes from. But...
I think it's attributed to Bilbo.
Okay.
I think it's ultimately something that Bilbo had written in my research. But yeah, Sam in this very hopeless moment goes to song. Like song is what gives him hope. Song is what helps him. And it actually helps him find Frodo because then the orcs hear his singing and think, it's Frodo. So they lead him to where Frodo ultimately is. So song, again, is that soft power. Like he's not fighting off all the orcs or like... punching his way through walls to find Frodo. He sings a song, and that's what leads him to Frodo. And it's really cool. Like, and the song in the radio play, like I said, is really pretty. Who knew that Bill Nye could sing as Sam Gamgee?
It was very nice. Yeah.
It's very nice. But like, again, it's cool that there are these moments where characters choose to sing a song, and it fundamentally alters, or it's almost like magic, right?
Right. It's like, would Sam have found Frodo if not for singing?
I don't know. Or would Shelob have like stayed away from Frodo if he hadn't sung his little thing? Or, I mean, there's a couple instances where you really wonder if, I know Tolkien, like we've talked about Tolkien not being, overtly or explicitly writing about magic, but there's almost like a power or magic in these songs in a way.
Well, yeah, because that type of power does exist in Middle-earth. There's plenty of examples of that, but it is very implied at the very least that song itself has some kind of power.
It's cool. Like I said, it feels very different from modern fantasy and fiction in a lot of ways. I feel like some people have tried to copy Tolkien. I mean, who wouldn't, right? He's the greatest.
Right.
By putting songs and lyrics in, but because they don't have the depth of research or the lived-in feeling that you described, it just doesn't...
I mean, he made a whole...
Doesn't hit the same
world
way.
and history, and I think that really makes you feel the depth.
Yeah, and even if you've ever heard some of the old recordings of Tolkien reciting lines from Lord of the Rings, there's a really famous one, and I know it's on YouTube and a few other places, where he's reading The Ride of the Rohirric.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one.
Chills. It's one of the greatest things ever written in the English language. I stand by that. Come at me, Shakespeare fans. But even the way he reads it with a pace and a tone where it's not quite sung, but it's more like spoken word, right? Like it feels like one of the, like I said, those poetic Eddas or the Norse epics where it's not just him reading the words, like he's almost chanting it.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, I definitely recommend that people try to find that. Maybe we can link it somewhere, that recording of him reading just that passage, because that passage had power for me when reading it, every time. Seeing it on screen, I mean, they absolutely nailed that scene entirely. But then hearing Tolkien's reading of it himself, and like you said, the way he cadences and just how it comes out, it's not a song, but it does have some kind of cadence to it.
Yeah, it's more alive than just a regular written passage, which is spectacular. I will say that. And I think, if we look at the ways he uses music in his works, I know we were talking about music as power. He has some actual specific examples where music and song are used as a magical power, if you will, to defeat...
Especially in the Silmarillion?
In the Silmarillion, yeah. I don't think... I mean, we talked about Sam singing Cirith Ungol. We talked about Frodo singing,
but that wasn't necessarily, like, as a weapon. Soft power, I like that way of describing it. But
soft power.
There are definitely examples of song being used as a power in the Silmarillion.
Well, we've got at least 2 rap battles in the Silmarillion, which
I know. I'm very excited to talk about these.
Well, I don't want to be glib. It's not an actual rap battle, but I like to think of it as
it kind of is, though.
Like the way they throw words at each other.
It kind of is. Like maybe it's not specifically a rap battle, but it's a singing battle for sure.
It's a singing battle. It's something, again, something very, I don't think many authors would do besides Tolkien, the way he uses music as a weapon.
Because it's really like, really? You guys are going to sing?
Yeah.
And
before we draw swords, let's just draw voices. Okay. Well, there's a couple, right? So there's the one that I always thought about. The first one was Fingolfin in the Silmarillion. So one of the OG elf leaders, they just had the battle, one of the worst battles for the elves. Like everything was inflamed. The dragons are unleashed. It was an epic loss. It's bad.
It's bad.
It's real bad. Like a lot of elves die, dwarves die, humans die. Fingolfin's basically lost everyone he holds dear.
There are multiple times throughout the Silmarillion where I was like, how did they make it? Like, how are there any people left?
They came real close. But I am grossly oversimplifying this. But basically, Fingolfin is so distraught and so desperate and so just wrecked from everything that's just befallen him. This dude is insane. Like, single-handedly rides up to the gates of Angband, knocks on the door, and says, Morgoth, get your butt out here. I'm going to fight you in single combat. Like, are you a coward? Like, come on. Yeah. Come on and fight me, a coward, right?
Which, speaking of just great paragraphs to go reread, that's a great
Fingolfin's challenge to Morgoth is also one of the greatest things in the English language, and I'm doing it no justice. Go reread it. I should pull up the passage later, but essentially he goes out, but before he fights with Morgoth, like Morgoth takes the bait. I can't look like I'm a coward, right? So he comes out to fight this elf who's like, a tenth of his size at this point in time. But they have basically a singing battle before they get into the fighting battle. And it's really interesting that Fingolfin chooses to show power and fight Morgoth with words before they get into the actual like sword and mace fighting.
Was Fingolfin the one that started the singing battle? Do you remember?
I believe so.
Okay.
He's like, I'm gonna sing at you. Yeah. And I don't know if that's an attempt to like chip away at his power. It's such a short paragraph in the Silmarillion. Like, you get, like, two sentences on
Tolkien does have a way of making an entire battle sequence in, like, a paragraph. And then you're like, it's already over, but then it was so vivid. All he needs is a paragraph.
All he needs is a paragraph, right? And so we have that example. And then there's the example with Galadriel's eldest brother, Finrod.
With Sauron?
With Sauron, when he's trapped in... It's in the basement of the Isle of Werewolves, or is it a different time?
I think it is the Isle of Werewolves, yes. Because there's actually two singing battles with Sauron in this same dungeon.
Yes.
The first one's Finrod.
Yes, Tolkien, my other second favorite. Yeah,
which is also a great word to say.
I'm still probably not doing it justice. Yeah, so Galadriel's brother does something similar to what Fingolfin does with Morgoth, but he has his little like rap battle with Sauron when they're fighting it out after he's like...
Is Sauron currently a vampire at that point? Or werewolf?
I think he's in his werewolf form.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He's both.
He's either Sauron or a werewolf or a vampire, and it's no good news. But like again, it's like a duel of words before everything else goes down, and he eventually gives his life for Beren, sad face. And then you were going to talk about Lúthien, right?
Well, yeah. So obviously Finrod unfortunately was not successful.
Rest in peace. I'm gonna pour one out for Finrod.
But then Lúthien, and we're going to have a whole episode on the badass ladies of Middle-earth, but Lúthien comes riding in on, what's the... Huan, yeah, the best doggy.
Bestest boy. The
bestest boy. So they come riding in, and unfortunately she wasn't on time for Finrod, but she's there to rescue her love, Beren. And so they also have their own rap battle, and Lúthien wins.
Crushes it. Defeats Sauron. Comes in, cleans up.
With just singing. And she basically destroys the whole fortress with her songs. Like,
she's so powerful. I mean, she is part Maiar, which is... Right. She's not straight elf, right? She does have
which
that
extra... Which is the same level as Sauron. They're both Maiar, right?
Well, she's half Maiar.
That's right.
So Sauron technically is full Maiar.
But that's still badass, where half Maiar comes in and not only beats a full Maiar, but then just sings his whole fortress to the ground.
Yeah, she sings it into dust. Like, it's crazy.
It's like, where were you this whole time?
She's trying to catch up with the boys who went off to adventure.
I know, they do keep imprisoning her to keep her from...
Anyway. We won't go into that. But yeah, she sings this place into ruin and puts it back to the way it should have been before Sauron and his forces made it into an awful place. And then she sings again in front of Morgoth himself.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so the one I had forgotten about the bit on the Tol and Galroth, but when she and Beren finally make it into Morgoth's fortress in the Silmarillion to steal a Silmaril from his crown.
Right.
She's like in her disguise mode, right? So she's like dressed, she like gets into the fortress because she's dressed as a vampire or whatever.
That's right.
But she essentially sings Morgoth into a stupor.
That's right.
I don't know if she sings him all the way to sleep or not. I can't remember. But she is so powerful, and her voice and the power she exudes through song is essentially what distracts Morgoth so they can steal the Silmaril.
Yeah, that's right. And I forget what wakes him up, but it was something like on accident.
Yeah, it wasn't like a... So close,
they weren't ready because they were trying to steal us either the second Silmaril or all of them. They were kind of like, wow, we got this one. Might as well get the others.
See what we can go for
here. So they were trying to get more, and something happened. I forget what.
But Pippin knocks the thing into the...
Something like that.
Pippin teleports and knocks
somebody
the
trips
down
and wakes him up.
But yeah, again, this woman is so powerful that she sings Morgoth like into a magical state, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, and again, that's an exhibition of power that...
So it made me think, like in the Silmarillion, so the first and even a little bit of the Second Age, they use songs more often as weapons.
They do.
And so as we get into the Third Age of Lord of the Rings, songs are no longer used as weapons, but there's also not really as many Maiar running around.
Well, I was going to say maybe it kind of goes hand in hand with the fading of the elves and magic and the elves leaving for the Undying Lands. Like that, that type of magic and power isn't seen because you just don't have those first 10 elves based on running around, right? Like it just kind of...
Except for Tommy Bombs.
Well, he's the eldest. He's going to be there forever. But yes, I think because so many of the elves have passed into legend and all these things have kind of faded away. Yeah, you don't see that exhibition of song as power in the later ages.
So that could have made this whole thing a lot easier.
You just have Lúthien come in. Well, what's the quote? I think I have the quote.
You don't need
here.
the eagles to fly you into Mordor. I'm
going to sing the Dark Tower into nothing.
Right.
That'd be great. Where is she when we need her? No, it says when she sings to Morgoth, it says, and she sang a song of such surpassing loveliness and of such blinding power. So Tolkien is explicitly calling
out the most beautiful thing you've ever heard in your life.
He's like weeping.
You're singing so beautifully that even Melkor Morgoth
feels something in his dark heart.
Right.
That's crazy. But you're right. We sadly don't see it.
I would love to hear our human interpretation of the Ainulindalë and even Lúthien singing.
Can we even comprehend it?
I don't know. It's possible.
To the AI, don't do that, please.
No.
I'm sure somebody on YouTube has put it out there. We're like, here's our interpretation.
That's true. I never actually tried to look.
I don't know. It's ultimately so cool to me how Tolkien uses music. He uses it as his power, that soft power we talk about. He uses it as a... we didn't really get to this part, but almost like cultural identity of some of the different free peoples of Middle Earth, like how they sing and what they sing about very much exhibits what they're all about, right?
Yeah, and you get that in the movies too, because they actually include a lot of these songs in the movies. And each race kind of has their own, not theme, but maybe that's the right word.
Well, I mean, in the actual... I mean, I know we'll get to it later, but like the music of the movies, the composer Howard Shore very specifically picks different instruments and leitmotifs for all the different people, so you can kind of follow them.
Which he did a great job with that.
10-10, no notes.
Nailed it.
Love it forever. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
But even like looking at the text, I know, as you said, we get more in the earlier books as we do later, but like, what are the hobbits all about, right? They're singing walking songs and songs about food. And songs about not wanting adventure. Right?
I know,
like
I love that.
Cozy.
Yeah. A lot of their songs, if they are on some kind of path and wandering, it's always about going home.
Yeah.
And like looking forward to a bath.
Yes. Something comfy at the end of it. Or even like it feels much more traditional, like English countryside, folksy, not very serious. Like, as you said, the song that Frodo sings in Bree in the book. So like,
they're very silly.
The cow jumping over the moon. Like, it's very like, superficial topics. Like, this isn't like Lúthien singing or like all of creation. They're just like, hey, so there's this
it's just light and silly.
Like, let's sing about it while we drink. They're drinking and eating songs, right? They're not very... They're cozy and fun, but they're not like... They don't have the moral depth serious. I think we get of some of those elvish songs that you see much in like the first and the second ages where it's...
Which I guess, that's a good contrast with the hobbits. The elvish is just much sadder, which makes sense. The more
serious, though.
The more you learn about the elves' history and like what they've already gone through, it definitely puts a lot more perspective on why all their songs are so sad.
Some of it was brought upon by themselves, but I'm okay with that. The Noldor know what they did.
They do know what they did. We will go into that at some point.
But yeah, you're right. Like the elves are where they like lost.
Well, they can still be sad about it. Like maybe if they remember like what they did.
About it?
Yeah, they feel some guilt.
Looking at you, kinslaying.
Yeah. But they did, a lot of their songs are mourning, like Elbreth Gilthoniel, which is Varda, one of the Valar. So it's like, there's a lot of songs about her, actually.
Yeah. And like Lady of the Stars, or like Galadriel singing about leaves with gold.
Yeah.
In Lúthien, right? She's thinking about things that used to be and the magic and the things that are passing and fading. Yeah. It's all like very like melancholy.
Yeah.
They're the emo people.
Yeah.
We'll have the things never as good as we were. Right.
Things will never be as good again.
I know. The good old days of unending war in the first age. I don't know. But like you get to the lays of men, especially think of the Rohirric, because they're very much based on like the Norse tradition, right? Like it's battle songs and epics and very much like that draws from like the Old English and the Norse tradition that Tolkien very much studied as an academic. And you can see like it is so explicit in a lot of their songs, and even the way they talk and the language of the Rohirric. And like that's very much like it feels like something you would uncover on an archaeological dig in the UK.
That one feels, I guess, more like our own history in a way.
Even the way that they, again, it's that prose, the like Theoden and Éomer. Éomer. Speaking of pronunciation issues, even the way they like do their little chants before battle feels much more sing-songy than just saying like, let's go get them, boys. Like they're doing these very epic, very much like I said, Old English, Norse.
I'm trying to remember, though, specific songs from the men.
Aragorn sings his little verse to Boromir when Boromir dies.
That's true.
That's kind of on the spot.
Yeah, so when I was going through the books, and I was specifically going to look for songs in the Two Towers and the Return of the King, and kind of flipped through the whole thing, I was like, oh, wow. Like, a lot of the songs that we see in the movies in the Two Towers and the Return of the King are actually taken from the first book.
Yeah.
And they just kind of spread them out throughout the movies. But in the books, there's not a whole lot.
We don't get a lot. The Rohirric, we get the kind of call to the fourth Eorlingas that we think about. Like, there's basically that little, like, couple paragraphs where they're like, arise, right?
Yeah.
Riders of Theoden, fell deeds awake, fire and slaughter. Oh, it's so good. Spear shall be shaken, shield shall be splintered. We've got that bit, which is epic. And then there's the lament for the Rohirric, which I think Theoden says in the films.
Oh, wait, are you talking about the where now the horse and the rider?
Yeah.
Where was the horn that was blowing?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was actually said by Aragorn in the books before they get to Rohan. Like I guess the three of them, Gimli and Legolas and Aragorn, are going to Rohan. So Aragorn says those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, Theoden gets it in... Which he did a great job.
It's pretty well used in the films. But yeah,
absolutely.
So we get those like little snippets of men, but they're not very traditional. And then we get the Athelas one from the third book. But, you know, for the snippets we get, though, they're still not necessarily as like lamenty as the Elvish songs.
Right.
I think is what I would say.
Absolutely.
And we've got the dwarves. We've got the Misty Mountain song from The Hobbit, right? Like that's
one of my favorites.
The classics. Your 18-minute version that you
I was about to say, everybody, there is an 18-minute version of that Dwarven song that I listen to that, especially on car rides that I need to kill some time.
Yeah, we'll have to put that link on the website. Wait,
well, if you like the movie version, you're going to love this 18-minute version because it's very Dwarven in that, like, the deep voices. But then I didn't count how many voices, but every different singers get a verse. Yeah. So you get all these different voices.
So we've got that example. They're singing about like lost kingdoms. There's that's what Bilbo Baggins hates, which I love at the beginning of The Hobbit when they're trying to break all the things in the house.
That's a fun one from the dwarves.
Yeah, it's really lighthearted. But other than that, I can't remember if we get too many other snippets from them in The Hobbit.
Right. When it comes to the Lord of the Rings, you know, when they're in Khazad-dûm, it's just the choir singing in the background, but it's not like the dwarves singing.
No. And the only other example I really liked was actually in the Rings of Power, where you have the dwarves singing to the stone. Yeah. That was cool.
Right? Which actually makes a lot of sense when it comes to mining and vibrations and stuff. I actually love that they did that. Yeah.
So, like, is it canon?
Who cares? I love it.
It's awesome. Like, I don't know if really Tolkien would. It was like
That's a great idea.
It's a really cool use of music, again, to show power, which I think gets at what Tolkien ultimately uses music for.
Yeah, I thought it fit, even though it's not technically in the books, that fits with the canon.
Awesome.
Good job.
Well, I don't know. Do you have any parting thoughts on the books before we move on to the music and the films and kind of...
No, I think I'm at that transition point of I already kind of started talking about some of the movie.
We've like tiptoed into it.
Should we talk about some of the book songs that made it into the movies?
I think we should. We absolutely should. And they're in interesting places, but they're well used.
Oh, yeah. I got to start with one of my favorites. when Pippin sings in Return of the King, when he's standing next to good old Denethor eating his tomatoes.
You mean little tomato?
Little tomato.
I call him little tomato.
Little tomato. So when, in that scene, Pippin starts singing a song. I love this because, you know, when I first saw this, I didn't recognize it as actually a song from the books. And Pippin says something like, you know, I have no songs fit for great halls like these. But then he sings a song that's just, it seems so dark for a Hobbit song that I didn't connect it as a Hobbit song.
Yeah, but it's a Hobbit song.
But it is a Hobbit song. And in the books, they sing this, it's a short section of a much longer kind of chanting tune. That I think they sing it leaving the Shire.
Yeah, it's like on their way to Crick Hollow, or is it after they leave Crick Hollow?
No, I think you're right. It's before they get to Crick Hollow. Okay. That place is not in the books, but it's like before the old...
Not in the
which
movies.
You don't even see the old forest in the movies either.
There's a whole bunch we skip over. in the movies.
We skip a bunch, but it's towards the beginning of their journey out of the Shire. And home is behind, the world ahead.
Well, and I would say props to Billy Boyd, the actor who played Pippin in the films, because my understanding is he and Philippa Boyens, one of the screenwriters, worked on the arrangement that he did in the films to make it sort of more mournful bit for the scene. They used it in when Faramir is being sent to his death. And I recall... And like fact check me on this one, but I recall Billy Boyd actually did it in the first take. Like he
think you're
crushed
right.
it.
I think I heard that too.
And everybody was like, hot damn.
Yeah.
Like, all right, done. Like great.
Yeah. No, it's a great song. Obviously the lyrics were just from the book. And I think they cherry picked the lines a little bit. And I think that's probably why I didn't recognize it so much as a Hobbit song, because they did change the tone of it at least.
Yeah, the musical, like the way they set it to the song definitely makes it sound less like hey, we're going on an adventure. Like, oh, this is
dark.
This is dark.
That was one of my favorite songs just in the movies in general.
Yeah. But and the emotional punch you get from that in the films.
I mean, poor Faramir. Like, going out
poor tomatoes and Faramir.
Little tomato. Call him little tomato.
And then there's I see. So there's the one that they sing in the extended editions, and it's Merry and Pippin on the table in Rohan, right?
Okay, so I was trying to remember whether this is actually two separate times the hobbits are dancing on tables, or if it's just one.
Oh, no, I think it is Merry and Pippin in the beginning in the Green Dragon.
It's in the Green Dragon.
You're right, there's a second time.
But I think there is actually two times.
Yeah. Because they do it again.
They do it again in Rohan when they're having the...
After Helm's Deep.
Yeah, it's after Helm's Deep. Yeah. And that's where Legolas is, I think I feel something.
Yeah, when they're having the drinking contest. It's a really good... So it's a hobbity drinking song that's in the books, in the Fellowship of the Ring, in the early chapters, before they leave the Shire, and they've like done their first narrow escape from the Black Riders out of Hobbiton, but to their like little temporary holding place before, like their like safe house before they get out of the Shire proper. And they kind of have this moment of like, and they sing this really fun, ho, ho, to the bottle I go, to heal my heart and drown my life. You should sing it because I can't sing. And it's great. And they have like this bath song, and like the hobbits have this kind of jovial moment in the books, and it's great. But they have it in the extended editions, as you said, where...
I love that they added it.
I love it. It's Merry and Pippin being Merry and Pippin and kind of being cheerful hobbits at the beginning of the Green Dragon. And they might sing a version of it later on in Rohan. I'd have to go back to the films, but it's nice that they included it, because you get the same vibe in the films from it that you do in the book. Like, it's just hobbits being hobbits.
Absolutely. And especially when they're still dancing on the tables, just like, oh, look at the hobbits. It's just bringing some of the hobbity
cheer, hobbity drinking cheer.
Real quick, in the bath song in Cricklehour, when they're in, Crick Hollow.
Crick Hollow, Crick Holler. I'm going to say like my Appalachian family and be like, Crick Holler.
But that was one of my favorite parts in the book, where Pippin like splashes with his feet and Frodo's like, whoa, because it's like just water splashing everywhere, and it's just funny.
He just makes a mess of it.
Yeah.
Oh, Pippin.
Oh, Pippin.
I do think it's funny that there's like, are there like 4 bathtubs?
There's like 4 separate bathtubs
in this one house, and they're all in the bathtubs together, like hanging out and
it's
singing.
all in one. They don't really explain this, but it's like one bathroom, 4 tubs. They don't really say what the tubs look like.
No.
So, I'm picturing 4 of those old-timey...
claw tubs, right?
Like claw tubs.
Yeah, no.
I'm picturing full-size bathtubs, but maybe they're like basins of some sort.
They're just giant wash basins that they had left over. Because, like, I don't remember who it is that, like, sets up the house ahead of time. Like, Merry goes to set things up, right? Like, he's moving
Merry,
furniture.
and so does, what's his name?
Fatty Bolger. Yeah. Tangent. But, like, I do that song, that whole scene with the song and them chilling. I'm like, I have questions about Hobbit bathroom architecture, because like you have a room with 4 bathtubs that you're like, you and your guests just hang out in? Right. Is this normal? Is this abnormal? Like, that's a good example of this is the communal bathroom, and there's like a separate like single bathtub for the owner of the house. Like until this moment, I never really questioned the image that I had in my head of the same. Right? You're right. Because I definitely had an image of one big room with 4 claw tub bathtubs in a row. Right. And they're just like next to each other singing in their individual bathtubs together. Like, weird. Like, you're a great friend. We're not taking a bath in the same room together. Like, that's just totally normal. Maybe that's a bit of Hobbit culture we shan't dive into. But I have a feeling that it's not claw tubs. It's probably basins of some sort. And they're still in a room together taking baths. But yeah, apparently they're in the tub enough to be able to splash around and create a big mess. I need to go reread this section now and see if there's more description. Yeah. But yeah, so that's one of them. Mm-hmm. You have your elf one that you always like. Well, which elf one? Because all of the elf ones. I guess the next one would be, like, in terms of order in the books. It's when the elves are walking through the woods when Frodo and Sam are in the Shire. And in the movies, they kind of hear it and go peek over the log. And Sam's in the extended edition. In the extended. Yeah, almost all these are in the extended. The best. Yeah. So watch the extended edition. Sam is like hearing it. He's like, I don't know why it makes me sad. Yeah. But yeah, they're basically singing about Elbreth Gilthoniel, the valor of the stars, goddess of the stars. Okay, so the lyrics in the books are in English. And for the movies, they translated that English, and I say translated in quotes because Tolkien didn't create the entire language of an entire vocabulary, so they did have a linguist. Fill in the blanks a little bit. That filled in the blanks, but they did translate the English in the book about Elbreth into actual Sindarin. Or, I say actual, but translate it into Quenya or Sindarin? I don't actually know. So good question. But they translate it into Elvish, and then that's what we hear in the movies. Nice. But I love how Howard Shore used Tolkien's language to emphasize bits of the film and the soundtrack and the score. Well, we talked about it a little bit in our spooky episode, but the Barrow Down song that is sung by the Whites in the books when they're doing their incantation to try to turn the hobbits into little wraiths, little barrow wights, pint-sized ghosties. Gollum does a couple lines from that in the film. 2 Towers, I think. In the 2 Towers, but he does it's after he's got Frodo and Sam with him, and Sam's asleep, and Gollum's, like, talking to himself, and Frodo's like, what are you on about? And he basically responds with lines from the Barrow Wights poem. So it's kind of used in a different context, but it's kind of cool that they snuck it in there. Gollum does it twice, too, I think, because he's singing it also by the pool, the Forbidden Pool with Faramir. No, he sings the fish song with Faramir in the movies. Oh, you're right. Catch a fish. That one, right? So he sings the fish song in the pool. You're right. It's earlier with Frodo, where, like... Yep. It's either before or after that, but it's just Frodo, Sam, Cold be heart and hand and bone, or cold be hand and heart and... I can't remember. Cold be something under stone. Yeah, it's the Barrow Wight poem, but like Gollum's rendition of it, if you will. Yeah. Forgot that was 2 separate songs. Yeah. The fish song was very different from the Barrow Wight song. And then I think we mentioned this one before, too, the poem for Gandalf. Yeah. In Lothlorien. Frodo and Sam's little Frodo and eulogy. Well, we can't forget the Entwives song. I mean, you get the whole thing in the books, but you get John Rhys Davies as Treebeard doing his version of it. Well, I like how, because it is a pretty long one in the books as well. And so they give us a taste of it in the movies. And you're like, that's enough. Yeah, because they basically have Merry and Pippin are on Treebeard's shoulders. Yes. And he's singing this song to them, and so they're kind of like waking up, kind of like sleep talking it to them. I don't know if I call it straight singing. He's chanting it in a way. Yeah, because Treebeard's, I don't think he really sings like other characters. It is, at least in the movies, they put it more as kind of chanting, kind of chill. And it definitely puts them to sleep. I think it's supposed to imply that if we were going to hear the whole thing, we would also. Yeah. No, I like how they did it. Yeah. Well, it's funny because it contrasts a lot with actually going back to the 1981 BBC radio play, Treebeard sings in that.
Oh, okay.
So
I'd like to hear that.
It's cool because Treebeard has that other song where he's like, sing now the lore of the living creatures. And he talks about like his little alphabetical list of how he remembers all the creatures of Middle Earth.
Oh, yeah, because he's trying to figure out what the heck the hobbits
he's
are.
Like, there's no line for hobbits. And then Merry and Pippin help him write the new line for hobbits, if you will. But in the BBC radio play, he sings that. He's like, sing now the lore of the living. And it's funny, Andy Serkis sort of did a version of that in his audiobook, too. I think that was very much influenced by the radio play. But Treebeard, like, you get the more sing-songy version of Treebeard, if you will.
Okay, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
We could also talk about how some songs were created with Howard Shore. And I forget the name of the linguist.
David Sallow.
David Sallow.
Our hero, our unsung hero, our sung hero for some
sung
of the
hero,
songs.
yeah.
But yeah, this is what I actually wanted to get to, which is you have the actual lines of Tolkien that are turned into songs and used in various ways in the film. And then you have this sort of ode to Tolkien that Howard Shore, the composer of the soundtrack and the music for the movies, worked with Tolkien scholars and linguists to then create songs that feel like they should be in Tolkien's world. Your favorite bit in Lothlorien and Fellowship of the Ring, like that whole bit is in Elvish, and you really have to pay attention.
I am so upset at myself that I have gone...
Be kind to yourself.
I know. But, well, I guess I'm not that upset because it's just opened a whole new world for me. But I have gone 20 or so years without realizing that my favorite song in the entire score, Lothlorien, had Elvish that has
has
words.
Lyrics.
It has
by the way.
Which is
Did you not get the little booklet with the... I feel like it was in the soundtrack.
It must have been.
Like
but
you get back when us old people had CDs, right?
Right, because I'm sure I looked at it. That's why I'm wondering if it really had any, Elvish translation. Because, I mean, I was the girl that I had the appendix open and I was translating words into Elvish using the little alphabet.
You were like doodling in your books in high school, your little Elvish translation.
So the fact that I just now realized that Lothlorien has Elvish lyrics that I could have been translating this
What a
whole time.
wonderful discovery.
Which I am now doing.
Yes. Now
My notebook is you're covered in Elvish.
Break out the notebook.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, like they took the time to do things like that, where like, for me, the one that stands out the most is when the Fellowship is fleeing to the Bridge of Khazad-dûm and the whole scene in Moria, basically leading up to the appearance of the Balrog and then the flight to the bridge, all that chanting in Khuzdul and Dwarvish with that whole chorus to like
It was like
chant.
New Zealand, no wait.
It's like the army chorus or something.
Hold on. But it was New Zealand Maori? I think they were doing some of this chanting.
Ooh, that's cool.
Very cool.
That sounds right. I'd have to look it up. But either way, like there's this very powerful men's chorus singing in Dwarvish in the background while everything's going down in Moria. And it is so epic.
Because that was another one I looked up because I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so it's the Elvish songs have been Elvish this whole time that I could translate. Like, what are the dwarves saying in Khazad-dûm? Because that was another one of my favorites. And yes, it absolutely has lots of lyrics.
It has a lot of lyrics.
The dark grows heavy, cold snaps our bones, deeper into the earth. Yeah, and then it starts ending with fire, like fire in the deep, flames like our skin. How did it end?
It's really
the
dramatic.
demon comes. Yeah.
The demon comes.
So awesome.
Not that Moria needed to be any creepier, but the fact that Howard Shore could get them to sing all these lyrics in it's so good.
Yeah.
And I think it really, like, again, it feels so perfect for Tolkien and his world because it's not just music, right? They're using music. They're also using the actual song and the power of lyrics to convey all those feelings and kind of drive home that emotional impact, whether it's singing sadly about Gandalf dying or, spoiler alert, or singing about...
Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you know that.
You should know by now. Or, the Balrog and that whole scene, or even the way they do their own songs at the end of each of the films, which sort of feel like a bookend and sort of foreshadowing. And it's like something very original, but Enya writing her song in Elvish for Aragorn and Arwen is just spectacular.
Which I have not looked up the lyrics to that one yet. Do you happen to know what it is?
I don't have the translation. It's beautiful.
Okay.
You'll love it.
Yeah, that's next on my list. Yeah,
check it out. My personal favorite. Well, I want to hear yours, but my personal favorite of all the ending songs, I mean, they're all amazing.
Okay, which is my
so there's
favorite of the
Enya's
endings?
May It Be from Fellowship of the Ring. There's Emilia Torini's Gollum song, the really kind of creepy melancholy one from the second. And then, of course, Annie Lennox crushing it as Into the West. They're all spectacular in their own way, right?
So I just was listening to the Annie Lennox. I had to turn it off because I was crying in the car.
Oh my gosh, every time. Tears
I can't be driving when I'm listening to this. And then I realized, that's what I want played at my funeral. I'm going to make the entire place bawl their eyes out.
I don't know. I mean, this is probably
sad.
TMI, but so my dad's funeral earlier this year, we played that, if you heard it.
I think I did.
Yeah.
And I think I was tearing up.
Yeah.
And
it's a great,
I
hate to say it, it's a great funeral song.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember that now, but I think that would have to be my favorite because it is so, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's sad, but it's fitting with the books, I guess. It's kind of about death, and it invokes the Undying Lands.
Yeah.
And then it's basically we're going to meet again in the Undying Lands.
It feels like the musical embodiment of Galadriel's smile when she sort of smiles right before they get on the ship.
It's bittersweet, I guess.
It's bittersweet, yeah. I think that's the appropriate term for it. Which is funny. I think that's also my favorite. I do really like Gollum's song from the second film because...
I love them all, but yeah. I think I picked that third one because it's the one I most recently listened to, and the fact that I could not listen to it
without crying.
Without crying, I was like, okay, that one wins.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason I like Gollum's song so much, The End of the Two Towers, one, because I just love the Two Towers. Give me a good middle part of a trilogy that's doesn't end on a happy note. Mm-hmm. But we don't get as many things from Gollum's perspective, and it's really cool to have a song written from Gollum's perspective. The lyrics are basically Gollum. And it makes you feel sad for him.
Can you remind me that song? Because I'm not able to... I'm sure I know it.
I won't sing it because that would be awful for all of us involved. But it's that really kind of haunting female voice. And it's no loyal friend was ever there for me.
Yes. Okay.
So it's really interesting how they wrote this song, one from Gollum's perspective, but in the lyrics they've woven into why he is the way he is, and sort of you have Sam and Frodo, and they've got this dynamic duo, and you sort of have Gollum off in the woods while they're singing this song about I've never had anybody there for me, and no one's ever loved me, and you feel really bad, and it gets at his evil nature too. Let's be real, he's not the best of hobbity creatures, but it is kind of this haunting melody about you starting to understand why Gollum is the way he is. And I just thought it was a really cool way to end and foreshadow everything that goes down with Shelob and Gollum in the third film. But we don't get much from Gollum's perspective. We kind of have his little bit in The Hobbit, and we get the bits with Frodo and Sam, and the little bits that Gandalf tells us about his history at the Council of Elrond. Mm-hmm. But this song was kind of a nice way to kind of beef up Gollum's side of things, if you will. So
yeah, I guess it's not until the extended editions of the Two Towers. Is that where they show the backstory of Gollum?
No, that's the opening of the third film.
It is the opening. I knew it's the opening, but I couldn't remember if it was the second or third.
No, the second's Gandalf's fight with the Balrog, which is such a good cold
You're
open.
right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the third film is where we get Gollum's...
Yeah, so you don't even really see the background if you've never read the books until that third film.
Yeah, so the song at the end of the second one sort of hints at it, if you will. But I want to give a shout out to that one because it's very creative in terms of kind of giving us Gollum's side of things. And it's very melancholy and haunting. Whoever did the music for that one, the lyrics are great, but the music is...
I'm going to have to re-listen to that one because it's not as into my brain. Yeah, just Howard Shore's songs in general. I get chills every time I listen to it. He did such a good job with the different themes and just invoking emotions. I really do like Rohan's themes as well.
It's so epic. Well, I think, we've been talking about Tolkien's use of music and how he emphasizes things and music as power. And the movies came along for existing fans, but also for a whole new generation of people. And now we have those songs that we inherently associate with all these famous scenes and all the characters and all the different races and everybody knows the sound, the orcs, and everybody, the Hobbit scene with the flute and the clarinet. And I think the soundtrack was so spectacular for a number of reasons, but I think for a lot of people, the soundtrack is basically the default way they hear Middle-earth now. Mm-hmm. You go back to the book, even me, I'll go back to the book and think of those songs while reading them.
Oh yeah, 100%. Now when I read the books, I have melodies that I sing them to, and it fits. They did such a good job. I'm sure there are other...
With everything. Except for Faramir, they did him dirty. Sorry. I will not let that go.
Right. But I'm sure there are other ways to interpret those songs, and that
Yes.
if there is ever another adaptation, they'll probably do another spin on it. But until I hear those, it's going to be, there's only one.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you say the Shire,
Right.
my brain goes to that scene played by the flute from the movies. Full stop. Like, I think of Hobbits in the Shire, and I hear do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Like, that is the Shire.
Right.
There is no other version. And you point out, like, people doing different versions. I think it's been a real credit to, but a real challenge for Andy Serkis, because he has done the audiobook re-recordings in recent years for The Hobbit and for Lord of the Rings and all the books. And he does all the voices and sings all the songs. And he does try to do his own take on things. But you can hear bits where he's clearly influenced by the soundtracks that already exist.
Right.
Like, for example, in The Hobbit, the song where the dwarf is singing the song of the Lonely Mountain, Far Over.
Lonely Mountain.
Yeah. He tries to do his own thing, but he basically defaults into singing the song from the book, right? Or the song from the movie.
I can't blame him.
Right. And like he tries to do his own thing, but you can't not hear Howard Shore soundtrack. It must have been really difficult for him when he was recording to like try to do a fresh take on it.
Great attempts, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I couldn't, I don't think. Like, there's a part of me that when it comes to that Dwarven Misty Mountain song, I'm like, yeah, that's how the song goes.
That's exactly how it was recorded back in third age, 33, whatever, at the beginning of The
that's
Hobbit.
how it is. Like,
they snuck
no
a
other
microphone into Bilbo's hobbit hole, clearly.
What do you mean? There's another version.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I've always wondered if Tolkien were alive and if he were to hear what Howard Shore did, I don't know if he would approve of the movies, but would he at least approve of the songs and how it was all used in the films?
The way I don't know Tolkien.
You don't know Tolkien?
I don't. As much as I can know him. But I think he would very much appreciate the effort and attempt. He may have some critique somewhere in there, but I think underneath it all, he would have a deep appreciation. I like to think.
He approved a couple musical interpretations of some of the poems and songs from his books in the 60s, from what I recall. I'm with you. I think he would appreciate Howard Shore and all the care and love that the musicians and the lyricists and the linguists put together to sort of not only put Tolkien's actual words to music, but then to build upon that for songs like Lothlorien.
And use his language's rules and everything to build off of. It was just all done with such a high level of respect that I think Tolkien would have definitely appreciated.
It was done by fans. I think it shows.
We're never going to get that again.
Well, it was such a wonderful confluence of everything. But the care and the love and the people who actually, are all fans of the books and took such time with it. Like, it really feels like a love letter to Tolkien in the music.
Like I said, I still get emotional when I listen to the soundtrack. And I have been listening to this, it was like nonstop in high school. And now I'm kind of back on it. But there was never a long break from it either. I still always listen to it.
Well, I mean, I'll give a shout out too, since you and I took that lovely trip to Philadelphia earlier in December, which was to go see a version of Fellowship of the Ring with a live orchestra and live choruses.
Yes.
And that changed my soul. Like, the music and the soundtrack is incredible on its own, but to be there in person and have the impact of a full orchestra and a full chorus, like, blasting at you all these songs live.
Yeah, if anybody does have the opportunity to go to one of those concerts, I mean, I can't recommend it higher. Incredible. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it because, they play the movie on a pretty big screen, above the orchestra, and then the live orchestra and chorus is, doing the soundtrack. And it did feel like I was watching the movie for the first time in a way.
Yeah.
Where maybe it was having the music so much louder or just there in person, but I was really paying attention to all the details of the movie and especially emotions behind the movie that I think from watching it so many times, I was starting to lose.
You know what? Do you know what I think it is? I think it's like when I said at the beginning, it feels like when Tolkien forces you, like, he puts these poems and these songs in his book and it almost forces you to, like, slow down and, like, live in the moment while reading. You're like, don't skim it like I did as a middle schooler. Like, you take the time and you read through the lyrics and you kind of feel the emotional impact of it. Having the live music with the film felt like that to me, like with the film. Like, you're refocusing on all these emotional beats and you're hearing things you didn't hear before and you're taking the time to kind of focus on different bits that normally you would just kind of, because you know the movie so well, you're like, this is the scene where you're like, wait, no, but it sounds different and it feels different now.
You're 100% right, I think, with that. making you slow down again and really feel it. Because Tolkien, I mean, he writes all that in there. I mean, if you're really in the book, you do feel these moments. Be in the moment, everyone.
Yeah.
Is that a good place to end?
I think so.
So it turns out Middle-earth isn't just held together by rings.
I think it's held together by songs, by memory, and people choosing harmony and soft power over control.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why we keep coming back, because this world asks us not just to watch, but to listen.
Well said, Angela. Which brings us to our call to adventure. So if you enjoyed wandering with us today, please subscribe to Beyond the Brandywine on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Brandywine. We'll be putting together visual tangents to accompany some of the podcasts, as well as recordings of the podcasts themselves.
And for even more Middle-earth musings, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Beyond the Brandywine.
Plus, find all of our links and more at beyondthebrandywine.com.
We would love to hear what your favorite song memories are or associations, which songs stick in your head, whether the soundtrack has changed how you read the book. So feel free to reach out to us on socials or email us at hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
What was that again, Kelsey?
hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
All right. Until next time, go listen to the soundtrack, but don't cry in the car while driving.
And remember, don't be afraid to wander beyond the Brandywine. Do.
I've got Khazad-dûm in my head.
I'm going to be the guy playing the chains on the anvil.
Yes.
That's my...
You want to be the chain player?
I want to be the chain... Like, if I could do anything in the Lord of the Rings orchestra, I'm the guy with the chains on the anvil.
I mean, that does seem like it'd
be so much fun.
Could be one I could do.
Yeah.
I think I can do that in time.
That's me. I'm down on the percussion side. Yeah. It's great. That's so good.